friend Chessa Bouche joins us once again. It's been I think the last 3 appearances, one you predicted Brian Kelly would be fired. The next Brian Kelly was fired. And since the last time we talked to you, we've had a governor come out and say the AD is not going to be able to do his job, an AD get fired, a president get hired. Makes sense of what all
is there
happened.
Anything going on over there?
Yeah.
No, it's just like a regular boring week. I mean, it's just, football season, no big deal, not any drama, it's been like the most Louisiana thing in the past 3 weeks. And what I mean by that is, like, you start the season, you have Brian Kelly, one of the big names in college football, winningest active coach, and then he wins against Clemson, and then less than 2 months later, he's fired before the month of November is even here. LSU's lost 3 out of their last 4. Then, like you said, they fired the athletics director, Scott Woodward, which I was not a big fan of that coming to fruition. I think he has done an exceptional job aside from the Brian Kelly hire, but you're not going to hire every amazing coach. That's not how it works. If it was, we would never have new athletics directors. So I get it. But like you said, the governor came out. He said a lot of things, and it just drove me insane, because if you're going to say a lot of things, at least know the facts. And he didn't know the facts, and he kind of looked like a donkey. That's the nicest way to put it. And so he does all of this, and then all the chatter comes about of like, okay, Scott Woodward. Well, then Scott Woodward's gone, and then it's just, so the governor didn't like Scott Woodward because Scott Woodward wouldn't bring Will Wade back. And he made it a point where he was like, no, we need to hire Will Wade back. And Scott was like, no, because of all the FBI wiretaps and everything with Will Wade. And I love Will Wade. I thought he was a phenomenal coach. He was one of the more winningest basketball coaches that LSU has had in a long time. Got him to the tournament. So I get it, but like, it was not a good look. Scott was not having it. And since then, the governor has been after Scott Woodward coming for his job, which he ultimately said, boy, bye, and he's gone now. So they name a new interim, which Verge Osbury, then they hire a new president yesterday, and so the first thing he did was take the interim tag off of Verge Osbury, but there's some skeletons in his closet, so it's like, what are we doing? I feel like it's a circus. This is not it's not my monkeys, but like, I have to cover it. So it's been entertaining, and I did not anticipate any of this, much less all of this in 3 weeks.
It has been a very, very weird few weeks there. And honestly, to me, LSU, if you're going to live in championship or weird, honestly, to me, I kind of like it. I love, like, the 2019 team being here, and then the whatever chaos we have down here. I know there's going to be a long time before we talk about a new head football coach there at LSU, but this year's LSU team going to Tuscaloosa, this usually is the marquee game of the college football season. Both teams get a bye, and it's in prime time, whether it's in Death Valley or Tuscaloosa. This year's matchup, obviously not as sexy as it has been in years past. What's been the Tigers' mindset this season as they go to play their first game without their head coach?
I think LSU made the right move with firing Brian Kelly. I feel like there could be that interim boost of like, hey, we got some new energy, we got some new juice in the building, and I think that LSU has the leg up in a sense of Alabama doesn't know what they're getting. They now have a new play caller, Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator. He's fired. He's gone. You have a new interim head coach with Frank Wilson. He wants to run the football because he's the running backs coach, and he's been a head coach before. So I think it's going to be hard for Alabama to really know what is coming, but I think Alabama is the better football team. I think Alabama has won in multiple ways. Ty Simpson has been phenomenal back there at quarterback. So I think this defense, LSU's defense, is certainly going to be tested yet again. But what we heard from Frank Wilson on Monday at his press conference is that Blake Baker, the defensive coordinator, asked, like, hey, can we simulate more defensive schemes and the game plan than what we've been doing at practice, which is kind of mind-boggling if you're asking to have a more intense practice and to simulate what they're going to see on Saturday nights. And we're like, why haven't you been doing that all season? That's a Brian Kelly thing.
Yep.
He's out the building. So, hey, I wouldn't be mad if LSU pulled a UCLA and went out and won the game with their new interim coach. Do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely not. But I do think that it throws a little wrinkle in there. So I'm not mad about it. I am making the trek to Tuscaloosa tomorrow morning. So I'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday for that night kickoff. Thank goodness for a night kickoff. But, yeah, I feel like the Tide's going to take this one.
Chessa, Is there any way that Frank Wilson, they could just take, oh, here we go. We already took the interim tag off our athletic director. Why don't we just go ahead and take the interim tag off our head coach? I mean, if he goes out and wins out, could you see it happening?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, this is Louisiana. Anything can happen, obviously. He's been a part of this program for 2 or 3 different decades, and so he knows what goes into this program. I do love the energy. I think he's a great recruiter. He did not have the best winning records at UTSA or at McNeese, but at McNeese it is hard to win, especially when you're going against LSU for recruits and all that. I think he's a phenomenal recruiter. The guy that I would love to see get the chance, who's already on staff, would be Blake Baker. I think he understands the state of Louisiana. He is a player's coach. The guys love him. I mean, this man goes out to practice and is wearing cleats and trying to outdo number 7 Harold Perkins. I think you need that kind of energy and that kind of commitment and want to from a head coach that they had been lacking in this previous stint with BK. So I would love for Blake Baker. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Wilson did get the head coaching job just because of the circus that has kind of gone through this whole process. Yep. So again, at this point, anything could happen.
Chessa, I was like thinking about this whole situation, and honestly, with the governor and everything, it's almost like, you know, you break up with your ex, and then all of her friends are just like, yeah, you didn't need him anyways. We're going to post on social media saying, get this guy out of here and stuff like that. And then it almost makes you wonder, who would want to go and date you if this is how you're just going to treat people who didn't work out?
Oh, yeah, that sounds like my fiance's baby mama. She's crazy. Like, they're all crazy. You can't do stuff like that. You can't treat people badly and then expect them to come running back and want to come play for you. So, to me, it's one of those things of like, bro, what are we doing? The governor making a donkey out of himself on national television, and then he's talking about how I want to change the structure of these contracts. That sounds great, but the way the landscape of college football is, everybody's offering these enormous contracts for 5+ years and asking for a lot of money and giving a lot of money. And so if you want to go get a big fish, you got to still be able to reel that in, and you're not going to reel it in saying, hey, well, BK was worth it, you're not worth it, we're still owing, we owe Coach O and we owe BK, so we're only going to give you this money. And then, oh, also we also owe $6 million because we got rid of our athletics director. Like,
yeah,
I think it's such a bad look. And if I was a head coach, especially an experienced one with a lot of leverage, that is the last place that I wanted to go to, because it's such a circus right now.
I have a million personal questions for you when we get off this platform. But a football question for you. Speaking of Coach Wilson, in what ways do you think, if at all, things will change with Garrett Nussmeier in the offense? There were some struggles early on. You mentioned some tweaks there in practice. What do you think this offense will look like come Saturday with Wilson and making things a little bit easier for his QB?
Oh, he's outright said, we're going to run the football. Again, he was the running backs coach. That is his bread and butter. And I understand that the offensive line is a little bit banged up, but I feel like they want to establish the run game first, get that going, and then you can go to the passing game. I also was impressed that he said, hey, we also have Michael Van Buren, the second string quarterback, and he brings a lot to the table. He's a dual threat quarterback. We're going to have packages and use him in ways that helps this offense. So maybe it takes a little bit of pressure off of Nuss. And so to me, I know that they're going to be able to run the football, and they're going to commit to running the football, which I think that's been a lot of the issues this year, especially against Texas A&M. They ran the football well in the first half, then they end up down by 2 scores, and they're like, oh, we just need to pass it. Well, that's not how you were leading at halftime because of the running game. You don't need to abandon it. So I think that's going to come number one. You're going to set up the run game, and it's going to set up the passing game. So I think you'll see a little bit different with the offense. And I'm interested to see. Let's see what it looks like. I know that this team respects Frank Wilson. I feel like maybe Brian Kelly had lost the team already just because of the non-fight that there was, especially in the second half, the collapse against A&M. So I'm very excited. Frank Wilson's one of those fiery, in your face, and I think the team's going to play a lot like him.